Raghuji. So you've got 4 children and 1 on the way. Give us some pearls of wisdom about the yoga of parenting.
Yoga of parenting. Well, for a jiva, a spirit soul in illusion, they think the material world is about the world of enjoyment. As soon as you get married and score out a couple kids, you realize the world is not about enjoyment. The world is a sacrifice. And sometimes we say that and think, oh, that's a horrible way to look at the world. No, actually, we are training ourselves to be better and better givers. If I'm at the center of the universe, I want everybody to give to me. Matter of fact, my whole idea of what a friend is one that can endorse my ego. So when we're in a position where we have to give, where we have commitments, where we have, right, love is an action. It's just not a feeling, it's an action. So when we're in a position to love, then we feel like it takes us out of the center and prepares us to actually be a spiritualist. We are spirits, but we've lost that connection. The process of yoga is to reconnect. And what better way is than to care for and love people, right? And be committed to them and be there for them and be present for them. Don't get me wrong. It's incredibly difficult to father children and take care of them and things like that. And it's an ongoing lesson because kids press your buttons. Like when my kids were 2 years old, they'd press that 2-year-old button where they get under your skin. They freak out in the middle of the street and have their attacks and the terrible twos, and you're trying to reason with them. Hey, get up! Everything's gonna be good. Be cool. It's so. And then you try to get up, and then all of a sudden, I get like possessed by my father, saying, "You get up right now! You get up!" And you start to threaten them, and I'll give you whatever you want, and you bribe them. So we have to act. What yoga is you notice how you're acting, and then you make a better choice than how you've been programmed. We've all been programmed karmically. They'll call it genetically, or they'll call it, we're influenced by our parents. Whatever you want to call it, the yogis call it the karmically. I had my parents karmically. I chose my parents karmically. Because of that, I act like my father acts a lot of times. And my father acted in a lot of good ways. He might have also acted in a lot of inappropriate ways. It's just, we don't know. However our parents raised us, some of it is going to serve us, and some of it we have to let go of it. So I have to find out those parenting tools that were not good, how I was raised. Instead of having things come out of my mouth that my father would have said to me, I have to catch it, and maybe how would I do that differently, right? And then it's an ongoing process. And then you're dealing with a kid, right? You have kids, you could have twins and raise kids the exact same way, give them the exact same love, and one of them could come out and go to prison, one come out and be a, outstanding citizen. So at one point, you have to realize I can love them, but I can't possess them. I can love them, but I can't control them. Right? At a certain stage, you have to start to relinquish your control for them. And this is a whole process of yoga because we are trained to be lovers, givers, care providers, but we can't be attached in one sense also. I try to instill yogic principles and spiritual paths and ideas to my children, but ultimately it's their own life. And you know what? They've also come into a life with a whole different deck of cards than the kid next to them, than their twin brother. And they're all going to be uniquely individual. And sometimes they could have great joy and success, right? And in one sense, as a yogi, it feels good, but I can't even fully enjoy it. Because once you embrace that success, then you embrace the pain. If there's some great luck, don't get me wrong, I'm not above any of these things. At the same time, the idea is that we're supposed to love and just be present for them and not be on the roller coaster of their success or failure. And a good parent is like that. We're not trying to use the kid to fill some hole in my heart. Like, I always wanted a kid. So I put another kid in my heart to fill some lack that I have. I have to be connected and stable and connected to the divine and connected with my spouse in order to properly even give love. Sometimes we want the children to feed us, and then we become like these needy parents. We don't want to be like that. So for me, it forces me, because when I got married, my wife had 2 beautiful children that I started becoming the father of. It forced me to grow up. It forced me to be committed and strong and stable. And it was hard because I was in a band. I was a yoga teacher, but then before that I was in a band. It was like, if you ask me, it's like, in one sense, my mom still probably doesn't think I have a job. I was a yoga teacher. Don't take it seriously, or you're a musician, don't take it seriously. But it forces you to sort of like man up. And it's a great thing, because in order to actually evolve spiritually, you have to develop these dharmic codes. And what we say, the American, I think an American way to say that is to man up. I think that's a great way to say it. But it means really be responsible, where we were just being sort of whimsical before. So it's great, and it's a tremendous learning experience. And as my older kids get older, it's a whole nother thing. How to be in love and deal with a teenager. How to be in love with a teenager and deal with a teenager, and not just threaten, or not just hold a carrot in front of their nose, and how to be there for them when they need you, and not be hurt if they sort of diss you. It's a whole beautiful art in progress, learning in progress. But I will say that the yoga philosophy is completely useful, and just to put it out there, often I feel like I'm failing on a regular basis, like the parent fail thing. But you get up and you show up again, and you try to apply some wisdom, and you read books, and you read ancient literature, and you try to be love, and try to make a good choice. I think the whole parenting thing is all you can expect, and you try to infuse what you've been given that you think is valuable in them. It's exhausting.
Woo! Thank you.
Is that what you did?
Yes, thank you.